Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Underground Cave. I am Geltip, and this is Mini Painting with Geltip. Now, tonight's Thursday, so we're in our third installment of painting Grimkel Bloodbeard, the Viking from Reaper Miniatures, number 30102. So that's what we're doing today. Hopefully, you have your miniature ready to go, and hopefully, you have your paints. We'll get into what paints I'm using once we go over to the painting screen. But yeah, so we're here again on Thursday night to do a little paint along. And if you're wondering where to find all this juicy information, you can go into my Discord. Join the Discord, go to the channel that says Thursday Night Paint Alongs, and find out which miniature we'll be painting that month. Now, this is the third month. This is a trial period. I was going to do this for 3 months. I do have some other months set up for our Thursday Paint Alongs. But because May and June are a little iffy on my streaming schedule, and you'll find that by the streaming schedule down below, which I have updated up until ReaperCon in the end of August, early September. Um, if we decide that we want to try to do this during May and June, that those Thursdays, I think there's 2 Thursdays in May and 2 Thursdays in June that we can do it. And it was going to be a terrain piece because a terrain piece is pretty easy, and I can, if I can't do a Thursday stream, then you're not out in the lurch. But what terrain piece that is, I don't know. So you're going to have to check in on the schedule and on the Discord to find out which terrain piece. And anything can be a terrain piece. It's going to be a statue, so either use a regular mini for a statue, or you go and buy a statue, and then we'll paint it up. Um, but I'll try to put that in there at some point over the weekend, so that if you do want to order your statue, and I can tell you where to order it from, you can do so for that. But I don't really have any announcements left to say for the paint along. So let's get to it. We have 2 more Thursdays to do tonight and next Thursday to try to get a tabletop piece. So let's go and paint, shall we? So grab those paints, grab your brushes, and grab your Grimkel Bloodbeard miniature, and let's go paint. All right. So here's where we left off a couple weeks ago. Now I just have to make sure. Hey, look, I put that in the right spot. Isn't that cool? Um, so this is where we left off. I think we're going to do a little bit with the blade, and we're going to do a bit. I think maybe we'll go with some non-metallic metal. I'm not sure. I haven't done that, but I figured we'd try a little non-metallic gold. That seems pretty easy, and then we'll see if we want to go any farther. Last week we did the belts. We're working on the skull. Did we do the skull last week? I can't remember if we did that. Um, and then we painted everything black on the boots, so we'll get the studs on that stuff, and we'll keep going with what we see here. So I think today we're going to do a little bit on the metal. Now, I'm going to leave the blade until last because I want to see if I want to do non-metallic metal on there. But there's like these little things on his belt and on the studs. We're just going to go straight up metal for that. There's no reason to overwork the non-metallic metal if we don't have to. And again, if he's just going to be a tabletop piece and not a and he's not going to be a competition piece, or you don't want to get rid of him for a commission, then there's no reason to do the non-metallic metal. But if you were doing it for competition, then we might want to try it. But the studs are a little small, so we'll probably do regular metallic for that. And then we have a scabbard here, so we're going to work on some details here. But here's where he's at. Hey, antifreeze, what's going on? Um, I'll get some music on here, some nice soft music, so that we can paint to it. Um, let's see. Chill guitars. I don't think we've ever done this one, so let's try some chill guitars. and then we'll go into reminding people what paints we're using, and the basic color palette and stuff like that. All right. So, the colors we're using, we're going to use a reddish brown, which is, I'm using Pro Acryl Mahogany from Monument Hobbies. Staying with the theme of Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl, we got some ivory going on here. We have their blue from Monument Hobbies. And their bold titanium white. That'll come in handy. So those are our 4 Monument Hobby colors. Then we have from Citadel, we got Runefang Steel. We're using Flash Gets Yellow from Reaper, or excuse me, not Reaper, Citadel. Been using Reaper a lot. Evil Sun Scarlet. We have that. Now this is an air, so it's a little bit thinner than the actual layer, so you may have the layer if you're using that. But it's just a red and a yellow. And I took these. Now you can make an orange with these if you wanted to. I went and brought in Troll Slayer orange because if I decide I want to mix, I could mix an orange. Or you can just get an orange and then do that. So this is an extra color if you don't want to mix, or you can make them from the red and yellow. The other color we used was Rosy Skin from Reaper. This one's from Reaper. And this is 09068. Now, if you want to make a shadow, I have the shadow version, 09067. You can add a little bit of the mahogany to the rosy skin and get this color. This is just slightly darker there. So I just have this on hand so we don't have to waste time mixing it. Rosy highlight just looks like there's a little bit of white in there. So you just add a little bit of the bold titanium white or some of your white to the rosy skin. And this is just a flesh tone. I mean, you can use any kind of reddish flesh tone. I think elf flesh from Citadel, or not elf flesh. It's not elf flesh anymore. I forgot what it's called. Maybe dwarf flesh, if that still a thing. Catatant flesh. I don't remember the flesh tones. But anyway, so there's this. You need a transparent brown, so I'm using brown liner from Reaper. And this is just to go around. There's a lot of brown on him, so I use the brown to kind of separate individual materials. So like where his black leather band is on his arm, we'll put this around the black leather to signify the separation between the bracelet or bracer and the wrist. And then the final color, I'm using solid black from Reaper 9479. So this is another. I'm going to start, when I do these, you just need a black and a white from somebody. Doesn't matter what black or what white it is. If it's going to be like a darker gray, then you might want to go Corvus black with Citadel. Or you might want to do one of the darkest grays you can find. But yeah, so there's that. So that's the color palette that we're going to go with. And those are the paints I'm using. I'm sorry I didn't get the alternative colors up there. I'm getting really slack at that. I'm trying to get a good system here. So as soon as I get a good system, but if you look at the other paint-alongs, there is some alternative colors to like mahogany and ivory and some of these other colors. But this is where we got. I'm not quite sure where we ended with this, but because I think I might have done the skull offline. I'm not sure, but the skull was just mostly me painting it with an ivory and then kind of glazing down with the browns. So that's what the skull was. Now this could be a metal shoulder pad. I don't know. So that's the way I chose it. So if there's no other if nobody has any questions, we'll just get started here and start painting this up. So let's get some, let's try to see if we can't get this handle to be a little gold, shall we? And to do that, we're going to start with some Monument Mahogany. And we're going to start bringing up some of the yellow into this. And then we'll start bringing in some of the ivory to lighten that up a little bit. And then finally we'll get into the white to get our colors. So to do gold, you really need that dark shadow, and we need that high reflection point. We didn't do the skull? Okay, so that was me messing around. So I'll have to show that at some point. That's probably on me. I got a little carried away. Did we start the skull, or we didn't start the skull? Did we leave it black? Alright, so this is notorious for exploding, and it didn't, so we'll get some of that color in there. Okay. I have to be better about using my paints. I don't have a dropper bottle for the yellow, so I have to bring out some yellow. Now, doing non-metallic metals is really more of an end product than it is a technique. That's why we don't always have to do non-metallic metal. What you need for the metallics, though, is you need to have those high value contrasts. So you have to have brights and darks. And you just want it to look good from far away. If somebody looks at it up close, you know, your blends have to be super smooth to look at it up close. And really, you have to kind of rely on your light sources. So since we're not really relying on any light sources here, we're thinking that the light is coming from where I shined everything on the muscles and the head, that it's coming from this direction, right? So the light is kind of coming straight down from here. So that's kind of what we have to think about when we do non-metallics, is like, I think all of this top edge up where his face is will get the light, and then down here won't get as much. So we're going to try to do some non-metallic, and it's nice that this is a small spot, because if we mess up, we can always just paint it black and paint it gold. But it's always nice to try this to know your limitations. There will be glazing in this, so just be wary that we're going to probably glaze. So I'm just going to get thin out a little bit of my yellow here. Okay. And I'm going to warn you now, it's probably going to look more wooden as we go until we can get those extreme highlights going. So this isn't something that's going to look gold right off the start. It's going to take time. So we didn't start. No, it was black. All right. I'll show you how to do that. I'll find something that we can do on him to make the bone color, or I'll just find a skeleton. It's just as easy to do that. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to paint that entire handle, and I'm also going to paint this little triangle up here. We're going to paint that all with a nice dark brown. In fact, before we do that, I'm going to add a little bit of black on my palette, and I'm going to mix in, because I kind of really want that first initial layer to be as dark as I can make it. So I'm going to add some brown or some black to that brown. There we go. Get my little mixing brush here. Okay, so we'll take some of this black here. I'll just make a new pool here. And it's just like a 50-50 mixture. I'm not looking to go super black with it, but I just want it darker than the normal brown. So there's my 50-50 mixture. And since it's going to be a layer, we're going to do a lot of layering and glazing downward. So all these are going to be layers here. So I'm just going to take this nice black brown that we used, and I'm just going to go in and paint the handle. Yeah, so what I did with the skull is I painted mahogany first, because I wanted that initial layer to be off the black. So we did that, and then I mixed in a little bit of ivory to that mahogany, and I hit all of the upper areas, and then I went right with an ivory onto the skull, and then I glazed it all back down with a thinned out mahogany. And I just kept glazing down until I got the desired effect, and it started to blend out a lot of the ivories. And I just noticed that I'm painting something small without my eyes, so let me grab my eyes really quick. Again, non-metallic metal is not a fast process. It's an end product, not a technique. So if you don't want to do non-metallic metals, you don't have to. There's nothing saying that you have to do non-metallic metals. The only good part of non-metallic, I think, is for pictures. And it really, you can focus on your glazing techniques by doing that. And again, I'm only doing this for a tabletop mini. I'm not really doing it for competition. If I was doing it for competition, I would spend a lot more time hitting things that I wanted to. And but what's nice about tabletop quality is that you can get all the colors you want in. You can practice a couple techniques here and there. And if it's not coming out the way you want, okay, so you practice, you can move on to something else. I like practicing with tabletop quality miniatures because I don't have to be, I can pick one thing and just make one thing the wow factor on the tabletop. So whether it's that contrasting colors, or if it's non-metallic metal, or if it's writing in a spell book. I mean, he has a large enough blade to try non-metallic metal, so I don't. For me, personally, I'm like, well, why wouldn't I try that? I mean, what other thing am I going to practice non-metallic metals on if I'm doing a competition? Am I going to actually do it on my competition piece? Or do I want to see what the process is before I take up that mantle? And you'll quickly determine where good places are to do non-metallic metal if that's what you want to do, as opposed to doing it on everything. I mean, a lot of people, that's all they do is just do competition. They just paint. They don't play. They're just painting for work, competition, whatever they're painting for, whatever the journey is taking them. Sometimes they just want to do everything in non-metallic. Me? Nah, I don't care. Alright. So that should almost look black. Not super black. Because if I take this black that I put on my palette and I do the blade, you'll see the difference in color. There's a brown color on the handle, and you'll see this black. So I'm just painting this black because we'll take it somewhere. You're gonna have to paint it black anyway, because if I decide to do just regular metallic, It's kind of what we did on all of the pieces on the belts and buckles. Gives me a nice, good, dark color to start with. That's kind of what you want. You want the dark colors to start with, and then you want to build up from there. All right. All right, so with that, while that's drying, maybe I have a chance to do a skull. Maybe. I just need to find a skull miniature to work on. Let's see. You would think with all of the undead stuff that I have, I would have a skull ready to go. But they don't. They don't. At least I don't think I do. Let's see, what's up here? There's my skeletons. Alright. We'll do this guy. Alright, so here's my little skeleton dude, right? Now, we had a black face on him, right? So, it's not going to make a difference on this guy. So, here's my skull. All I did was take my little mahogany, and I painted the entire skull with this mahogany color. Yours will be a little bit darker because it's a black base. And I'm doing this now because I'm waiting for my sword to dry. But you're going to paint this with a nice dark brown. I should say the basic colors because you may not be using the mahogany that I'm using. But you're painting this dark brown. So maybe you're painting yours while I'm painting this, or maybe you just want to see how to do the skull. But let's see. So this is his jaw right here. So we'll get all in that skull, and then we let that dry. And what I'm going to do, so I have the whole skull painted with this brown now, and I'm going to go in with my ivory, and I'm going to do like a 50-50 mix. So what I mean by that is one shot ivory, one shot the mahogany. So here's my ivory. So I'll take my mahogany, take my ivory, mix it together, and you get this like kind of medium color. And the thing you're going to do is you're going to hit all the high spots with this color. Now obviously this is still wet, so we'll see if I can do this as you let yours dry. But you're going to hit the top of the head, and then very carefully you're going to hit the brow, under the brow, and below the nose. Right? Because you want to have a little bit of indentation. See, this is still wet, so it's not gonna read the way I want it to. But that's what you're doing. You're doing the top of the skull. You're doing the top of the brow here. I'm doing this with a large brush, by the way. The bottom of the skull. The upper jaw. You do the lower jaw, if there is one. I don't think the miniature had one. Right? And then there's another skull on the back side, if I remember correctly. And you'll do the same thing on the back skull. So there you go. So that when this dries, we'll work on it again. So we'll put him over here, let him dry. There you go, buddy. And I can see that the brown is a little bit dry here, but the black still needs a little bit. You can see where that shines, but we're not going to play with the black yet, so we don't have to worry. All right. So the next thing I want to do is I want to take this mahogany color. Now we have mahogany in the dark mahogany, the dark brown with the black and brown. So I don't have to worry too much. And because I want extreme values, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to this. So you want it, yellow is very thin. So you need to keep doing it until you get a lighter color than the dark brown. And once you can see a noticeable difference between the two colors, you can start to go in and paint over the high points, right? So in other words, I want to keep the recesses dark as I possibly can. So there's like this little house right here that I can paint on the top, but I want to try to stay away from anything inside. So when I get to the actual handle, I'm painting the flat edge, leaving a little bit of darkness. I don't know if I did that correctly. Let's see. I don't know if this will do it. Let's see if I can do it on this edge. So you want to paint this flat edge right here. And then you want to paint the handle. And in between the handle and that little house thing, you should have a little bit of dark brown in there to show separation. It's going to act as part of our value sketching. So I have to look now. If I want the light coming over here, I want this light up here. And then I may not want to do down there. There is some right here though. Now what happens if I paint over the dark? Like, what if there's no separation? It's alright, you have that color right there. We'll work on that. But let's see, we want to do probably right here, right? So I'm just going to do this upper part. I want to leave this part nice and dark. So we're just going to kind of hit this top. Oops. So I'm leaving anything that's pointing down, I'm leaving it as the dark. So anything that kind of points this way, you can just kind of paint over. Right? So I painted that right there, but I left that dark. Because this will get some bounce light, so that's what I'm looking for. Alright, I'm gonna go in, and I'm just gonna make a nice little line right in here. Let's see, make sure I'm showing this. So this one, I don't have the dark right now, so I'm just gonna go in and put the dark back. So I'm grabbing some of that nice dark brown that we used. Again, it all has the dark brown, or it all has that brown that we're using, so it should all kind of blend in together at some point. There we go. Now we're going to let that dry a little bit. I'm going to take some of this medium brown that we just made with the yellow. And And I'm going to sketch out my highlights. So I'm going to take some of this medium brown. I'm going to add more yellow to it. Add more yellow to it. And I'm going to add a little bit of ivory. So I want it nice and bright, but I want a bright peanut buttery brown. And this is where you're going to start sketching out where you want your highlight colors to be. So as in the gold for this, you might want, I can already see it in the light, there's this little piece right here. Right? And then maybe because it's not the brightest part of it, I just do a little bit thicker. And let's see, maybe I'll come down a little bit there. Then I want to add a little bit of lining right here. Get some streaks of light here. Now notice that I've got some dark and I've got some light here. That's what's going to sell the reflections, right? So I already have that there. Maybe I just... Okay. Then I want to do a little bit on the handle here, so I'll just kind of... Now, again, this is not the final highlight, so we can exaggerate how big we want this reflection to be. It's not an end product, or excuse me, this is an end product, not a final thing, so it may not look good to you right now, but if you look at it from far away, eventually it will look gold. So that's kind of where we're at. We have to let this dry. So might as well do this edge right here. I'm just going to reverse. So because I have this pointing this way and it's coming down, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to pretend that the light is on this side of them now. If I was doing this as a competition piece, I would say, well, because the light's in front of them, it wouldn't hit back here, and we don't want to do that. We want to just hit it from every angle as a game piece, right? So that means that this edge right up here would probably get some light. So I'll just kind of paint this up here. Looks like this will get some light. And then we'll come back here and we'll do everything we just did on the other side. So I think we got this edge here, and we kind of added a little bit of highlight right there. I know we did this entire edge right here. So just being very careful on how you apply it. See, I was going away from me, and I should be coming at me when I do this. So I want to come straight down on both sides here. And then I want to add a little bit of dark areas in here, so maybe right here. And we can always touch up the darkness afterward. Get that there. So what's interesting is that underneath here, it's nice and dark, and that's kind of where I'm going to keep it. The black liner will help me when I have to distinguish from the hand and stuff. So, but you can start to see, like, this is all wet still because it's nice and bright. If I come back here, not so bright. Oh, and the other thing I didn't do was this edge right here. So let's get that edge in there. There we go. Let's see, what else do we want to do here? Just looking. So see, when I look down here where it's away from the light, I can keep that nice and dark. and that's gonna be part of my contrast. So once this becomes brighter, this becomes darker. Okay. So we're gonna do everything we just did again, except this time I'm gonna use some yellow to do that. So what I mean by that is I'm gonna be more controlled with the yellow, but anywhere that I hit in the gold here is where I'm gonna hit with the yellow, except I'm gonna make a little bit more sharper line. So for example, with this yellow, instead of hitting all of this, I might just hit this edge highlight right up here in this corner. And then probably come down the corner right there. Maybe do a little bit in the middle here, not going to the edge. Maybe just right up there. Hitting this side, the middle, and maybe something over here. And I'm just gonna hit this I'm just gonna hit that corner there. And then over here where we started doing these like slash lines, I'm just gonna try to do it again as a slash line, but more controlled and little. And you can start to see now, it's starting to become brighter up here, and all that darkness that we have back here is starting to make that a little bit brighter. And so I'll do a little bit of this, and I'll do some more edge highlights there. And then if you wanted to, you could make a little bit of a line coming straight down, kind of following all of this here. But I wouldn't lose all that other stuff that you put in there. So hopefully that's starting to look a little more gold and not yellow. I'm going to do the same thing on the back side. Make sure that I'm on camera. And again, I'm just going to do here, here, oops. Go. Now, white has to be the final highlight, but what I'm going to do right now is, because everything I have in here outside of the yellow is has that dark brown, that dark mahogany brown. So I'm going to make a glaze out of that dark brown and just kind of blend everything together. So I'll just show you how to do that. We're just going to take some of this brown, and we're going to kind of glaze that down. So I just need a little bit of medium. This doesn't have to be a very potent glaze. Just we want to soften everything down. So this is pretty thin. And the reason I'm using this mahogany is because we use mahogany everywhere else, right? The dark mahogany with the black. The dark brown, I should say, with the black. Then we added some yellow in. Then we added some more yellow in. So all of these colors that we've used outside of just pure yellow has the mahogany in it. So, or the dark brown. So that's kind of what I want to do. So I have to use a paper towel to get rid of. And you can see it's not that potent, right? So it's pretty thin, but it's just going to kind of help me bring everything together. So I'm just going to kind of go and paint on top of everything here, staying away from as much of the edge as I can. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So because my light's coming this way and this is a darker shade, I want to go towards where my shade is. So if you're wondering where to go, I'm starting at the yellow and I'm moving downward because that's where the darkness is going. So if you ever want to know how I'm glazing this, my strokes are going from the highlight to the shade because I'm using a darker color than the highlight color. Add a little bit more mahogany to this glaze. Yeah, there we go. And we have to wait for that to dry. But what that's going to do is it's going to kind of soften all of those edges. So the reason I am doing that is so I can show you that there's our skeleton, right? So now I'm just going to go, we added that ivory in. So now I'm just going to go through and pick out all of those, just like we did with the non-metallic gold. We just go ahead and we pick out all of those things with the ivory. So the top of the brows, the bottom of the brows, top of the nose, right? Just under the nose, on the top lip, maybe the jaw, the skull. So this is what I did for the shoulder pad. So you have this sketch now of where the highlight colors are. Right? So there you go. That's the sketch. Looks like he's got a little bald cap on. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that glaze we just did, that brown glaze that we're using for the non-metallic gold, and once this layer is dry, we'll go ahead and we'll start glazing it down, and you'll start to see, I'm not going to do all of it, but there's like his skull comes all the way over here. You don't have that, so right now it's just looking like he's got a helmet on, but his shoulder pad doesn't have it. It's just this skull that goes into another face. Right? So you're looking at something like this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and I think I used a bigger brush. We're going to take some of this monument, this dark brown glaze that we made, and yours is probably going to be a little bit darker. And you just glaze. Whoops. Then you just glaze. So I'm just going to use it, and I'm going to glaze down. No, I can't do it because it's still wet. I thought I would be able to do it. I thought it dried enough, but that's what you're going to do. You're going to use that glaze and bring it all the way down again. I'm just erasing what I did here. We'll come back to this. Yeah, that ivory is still a little too wet. But you just keep glazing down, and then eventually you'll get to that, and then you can hit it with more ivory if you want. But that's how I was doing this. I just have to wait for that to dry because I'm trying to do it quick for you guys. Not working. So we're going to put this guy back over here and let him dry. We'll come back to him. because our gold, that glaze that we put on should be okay and dry, so we'll put on the next one. So if that's how I did the skull up there, if anybody wanted to try it out afterward. So I'm going to go ahead and just apply the same glaze where I did before. So just on all these flat areas from where the yellow is, I'm going to come down. Right? Do the same thing back here. Start at the yellow. Work my way into the shade. And this just kind of softens out all the highlights. Why? Because we're going to highlight again. As soon as this dries, we'll highlight again. All right. Does it look gold? It probably doesn't look gold because I don't have any of the highlights. What we're going to do is we're going to take this ivory and we're going to actually mix in some of that yellow. Because we're going to do a lighter color, I'm going to use it as a glaze. I'm not going to glaze it. I'm going to actually treat it as a layer. So we just want a nice bright yellow. So I think it was 3-4 ivories that I used into one yellow. And when this dries, I'm going to do exactly the same thing, except I want to be even more controlled where this bright yellow goes. So I may not hit the entire edge. I may just want to stay where the light is hitting it. So I may want to just hit like this corner, just the top edge up here, some points here, maybe actually make a line down the handle. I can already see that it's still wet, so I can't do it yet. But that's okay. There is something that I do want to do, and that is I want to actually paint these stitches in here in this on this black bracer, and it looks like I may need to hit this black again. One sec. I think I got some skin tone on here that I didn't want. So let me just quickly go in and clean this up. This should have been black. Maybe I never painted this. Maybe this was always... Maybe this was the primer still. But right here, I'm going to have this kind of go into his arm. So it looks like his arm's going into the bracer and not part of him. So the reason I work on different parts of the miniature is to allow other things to dry. We have to let that glaze dry. If we try using that, going on that glaze now, you saw what happened with the skeleton head. It's just going to mess it up. And when you're doing something like non-metallic metal, you got to take your time. A lot of people that try to do non-metallic metal fast, I think they just... I mean, I haven't seen anybody do NMM really fast, but maybe they do. I know you can do it with an airbrush. They do OSL with an airbrush too. Alright. So now I have to let that dry. I may not have ever painted that. While I'm there, there's a little belt thing right here. I'm just going to paint that black too. So there's this little circle right here. We'll just paint this black. And now is the time where you should start using smaller brushes because we've already painted certain things. Like you don't want to mess up your belt that you just got done painting. So just be careful, take your time, and use the tip of the brush to help you get at certain spots. There we go. And I think I'm going to paint that scabbard black too. Do I want to paint that scabbard black? Let's see. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'm going to wait on the scabbard. If you already started painting it black, that's fine. It's because he has black pants that I just don't know if I want a black scabbard on the black pants. There's other pieces that we can do. Now, I'm painting a belt buckle, which is going to be silver. So there's a good chance that with the studs that we put on here and these belt buckles, I may just do that black. But I'm getting all of these belt buckles into... I'm just painting them black because I'm going to hopefully get silver on here. Alright, so we got some belt buckles back here. Whoops, I have a couple more belt buckles I need. And by the time we're done with these belt buckles, our glaze should be dry where we can get our next highlight on. So we're just doing this all black right here. Just looking around. Maybe I'll leave it up to chat what color we're going to do the scabbard. Sometimes you just have to leave things to the very last possible moment so you can see what everything else looks like before you start. So we could paint it black, but let's get the silver on and see where the silver looks first. Alright. So, by glazing this down, and we could do it again, but by glazing that down, that kind of softens everything up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use this bright yellow that we mixed, 3 or 4 ivories to 1 yellow. And it's not the pinpoint reflection yet, so you want to be as controlled as you can. So I think maybe right here at the top and this part of the pommel, maybe right here, right here, right there, right? And then I would go as far as just putting some dots in here, right? Just put some dots. Maybe you could want to put a line here. And then this little ring right here. Something that looks like that. So see how that just pops with color now? And then maybe we do this corner here. Not a lot in that corner, just to signify that it's there. Maybe if I can get it just a little bit up there. That's all. And we'll do the same thing on this side. So you can pretty much tell where the light is going to be. So like right here. Oops. Right there. This upper half. Maybe this lower half. This little dot right here. Got some little dots right in here. So you want to stay in that yellow as much as possible. And then Maybe we get a little bit more brightness here. More brightness in there. Now you're starting to see. What brush is this? This is a Aqua Elite 10-0 Princeton brush. It's a short liner. So there's not a belly on this. It's just more of a short liner. And I use it when I into really fine spaces like here. This one is a Princeton Aqua Elite 3, a 3 round. The tip on this is a little bit larger than what I wanted here. So you could go to a Reaper 2. Reaper 2 does have a big belly, and it also has, I don't know if I can actually show the tip on here. It's got a very sharp, pointy tip. So I could use this to do what I'm doing here. It's just how much paint you want to apply. So when you're using it around like this, right? When you're using a round sort of like this, and I'll show you with the metallics when we paint the metallic on, but you're only using like the tip of the brush, right? So if I was to do this, I would only be using this much paint, right? That's the tip of the brush. And that's what I would be painting with on here. You don't want to stick this brush halfway up and try to paint using only the tip. It doesn't work. And so I'm lazy, and so I use something like this to control how much paint I actually put on the Mini. So this is good for me because I can control. It's a liner, so it doesn't have a belly. It does have a sharp tip, so I'm not going to hit any other spots on the miniature. So I'm only using this because I'm lazy. But so the other thing I can do is, if I wanted to, maybe come down over here and separate from the hand. Right? Because you want to show a little bit of the separation from the hand. This can be done with pure yellow too. So, and then I'll do the same thing over here. This just separates it from the hand. There's nothing really... Because we did the yellow down here. I think we did the yellow down here. If not, we'll do some of the yellow down there. I think this could catch the light too. Whoops. Yeah. So, that was a little too much yellow. So I'm just using some water to get rid of that. And we'll try that once more when that dries. I'm not going to go back in there now and do it because I don't know if it's going to be dry. So the last piece of this is the white. So we could use ivory. Ivory would be okay. I feel like, though, white is brighter. So we're going to take some of our white. And with the white should always be like a dot. It should be the thinnest line, should be a dot. And so with a pommel like this, I think basically what I'm going to do is just hit the points. Like I'm going to hit this point right here. And I'm going to hit these points right up here. Each time that a yellow meets another yellow, I'll make a little white dot. Right? And then when you have a line or something like this, well, first of all, here's a dot right here on this area. And then we're going to make a dot here. And then in the line, I'm just going to do a line like right in the middle of that yellow. Maybe I'm going to make a line in that yellow. Let's see. So white should be the last thing you do. And once you put the white on... Well, I shouldn't say that. White shouldn't be the last thing you do, because sometimes people glaze down the white and put another line of white. But I'm not painting white on the whole thing. I'm only staying within that area. So I don't know if you can see. Let's see. So I'm only inside that little place where the yellow is. So you just want to kind of stay in a line with your light. So because the light is in this line, I have that eye. I go up here. So there should be a dot there. And then right here. So see how all of this white dot, and then I just did the dot up there. And that now when I look at this from a distance, it looks gold. If I come up here close, it may not look gold. So we're going to take that white dot again, theory, and I'll just do it over here. Now here, what I could do is make a line right here, or a dot. Either one, doesn't matter. Here I'll make a dot. Here I'll make a dot. So there's where my dots will be. And then I'll do the same thing over here. Dot up there. Dot here. Dot here. This is where I made a yellow line before. This is where I made a yellow line before. We'll get those to look. And then I will take this. And we'll just make a little line here. And a dot there. Now, we didn't do anything back there. Everywhere a dot dot. That's right. How you doing, Haunted Miniatures? How you doing, my friend? What have you been up to? So we didn't do anything down here, right? Because that's not where our light goes. But because that's nice and dark, when we get to the light source, look at that. It makes it kind of reflect. Now, if I wanted to, I could take some of this nice dark brown that I had before, and I could dot inside here a little bit, or glaze if I wanted to, and I could really sell the darkness in this pommel. I could even come over here and add a little triangle there, add a little triangle down here. So you can really push the contrast here. I feel like I have to do non-metallic blade now, don't I? Doing all right. Been ages since I've strolled on to Twitch. I know. I haven't seen you in a long time. But even if we didn't want to do any more non-metallic metal, right there could be your wow factor for people when they see this miniature on the table, like, oh, wow, look at that gold. Oh, it's non-metallic gold. That's pretty cool. Wow. Right? So, the one thing I did want to do is I wanted to actually go ahead and paint all the stitching with the ivory. So that's kind of where I'm going to go with the stitching. So I'm just going to do a line. So I'm gonna hold the stitch. I'm gonna hold the miniature where I am so that I get a nice, comfortable way of drawing a line. And I'm just gonna draw the line on the stitching. Right? So it's just it's that lining that you want to try to do. So right now we're just kind of in the phase of adding some detail to this. Now if you go too much with the stitching, you can fall back on your black, which I did. So I'm just gonna go to my black here, and I'm just gonna kind of, did I go down on, no I didn't. Wow, those are some pretty big stitches. I guess it would have to be if it's a leather bracer. I just have to flesh out these stitches a little bit more. So there's that. We'll come down. If I can. See, I have to hold the miniature in a bad way. So I don't know if you're going to see what I'm doing. Hopefully you will. Holding my breath because I'm not as steady this way. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be steady that way. We'll get that in a second. I'm just going to get to my black and kind of clean up in between. I was trying to hold it on camera. I should have just did it and then showed it afterward. That's the woes of streaming, folks. The woes of streaming is that you're tied to a camera. If I wasn't tied to the camera, I would probably be better at doing the stitch. There we go. That's what we're looking for. So you're probably having a better time with the stitches if you're painting along, and if you're not painting along and waiting, you'll find out what that means in a second. Alright, so we have that. We have some stitches on his pants that I'm going to do too. I'm going to do the same thing in ivory. I want to make sure that I'm on camera for all this. These little things that you do that you can reach on a miniature for tabletop goes a long way. So if you're doing it for competition or commission, instead of worrying about too much with the stitches, maybe you're doing a design like a camo thing on his pants, or you're giving him tattoos, right? We can give him a tattoo. We just haven't gone down that lane yet. That might be next week's stream. Like the final thing, we'll give him a tattoo, or we give him some war markings on his face, depending on how we want to do that. But for now, we're just taking any kind of detail that's sculpted in here and just enhancing it. We've already blocked out all the colors, so now it's just a matter of fine-tuning all the colors. The only thing we haven't done is the scabbard. And I did not do a good job with that particular round of stitches. So we're going to do it one more time. And clean up as we go. Oops, that was a big stitch. That's not good. Ages since I've strolled on Twitch. I hear ya. I was wondering what was going on with you. Have you been to any conventions? Have you, or is it just mainly just work that's got you lagging out of Twitch? Not lagging out of Twitch, but keeping you away from Twitch. Alright. So there's a couple schools of thought here. I can do the pants blue and keep it with this blue tunic, or I can add the blue up here, and so that I have the eye level from top to bottom, and then I can do this red down here, so that I have the hair color and the pants, and that keeps you looking at the entire piece. That's kind of what you want to do. You want to look at the entire piece. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do red stitches up here. And blue stitches up here and red stitches down here. So we're going to grab the blue and the red. Were you asking me what's kept me away from Twitch? Yeah, not so much streaming wise as opposed to just lurking around and doing stuff. I mean, I'm sure if you haven't been lurking around, then you probably haven't been streaming either. And I know that a lot of people have gotten back to work, and work has kind of been front and center. I also know people have kind of had health issues or moving or life events happen. So I was just wondering if you're doing okay, if your health is okay, if work is being the culprit, or if burnout is a thing, right? Everybody gets burnt out. I mean, I took 10 years away from this hobby. I mean, I've been doing it for 12 years now, but burnout is a thing. So I'm just going to go over this ivory here. Now, one thing I could have done is actually use this blue, added some black to it because I had black for the bracer, and then done this blue over it. But I kind of wanted the stitching to be a little bit brighter, so I elected to go with the ivory. I could have done white. But I kind of wanted to get that brighter in there, because I can add white to this blue, and I can, get the little highlights in there for the stitches. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but that's my thinking. Yeah, I've kept doing the twice monthly streams for Word, but otherwise all of my free time has been taken up by taking care of my mom. She shattered her knee, and had to get a total joint replacement. Oh, sorry to hear that. I'm glad that she has you to help her out. I'm glad that you're able to help her out. Yep, family things take precedence, which is what I'll be doing in May. So I have to do things for my mother as well. So that's why there's a couple. Well, May I'm off because not only am I taking care of her, but there's also a family wedding in May. But also I'm taking time off in June to also help her around the house and stuff like that. So I totally get it. She doesn't have a total knee replacement, but she's got some other stuff that she's gonna need help with. So I'm sorry it's kind of kept you away from Twitch, but at least you're still hobbying, which is always a good sign. At least you're not totally taken out of the hobby. And we're glad that you're back here for a little bit. I hear you. Glad to take care of your folks too. Yep. I'm glad that we have a chance to do that, because If we couldn't, that's even sadder. What's happening with your mom? My mom? She just has a couple medical procedures she has to take care of, and because she has to be sedated for it for a while, um, I'm I just have to do things, sort of like lift things around the house, get things for her, because she can't drive. She's no longer driving, so she needs a way of getting to and from the doctors. She needs help around the house as far as well, my dad passed away. I don't know. I think 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago, and so there's a lot of stuff that he has in the cellar, in her basement, I should say, that we haven't taken care of yet. And because I'm not there, I don't have the time. Like in June, I'm gonna have 2 weeks, 2 solid weeks, to have access to all of the facilities around her house, such as the dump and the recycling center and Goodwill and things of that nature, so I can start help cleaning out a lot of that stuff that she can't do. Um, there's no way she's going to be lifting things. All right, there we go. I think he needs some eyes. What do you think? Question is, do I give him blue eyes? Do I give him green eyes? Or do I just stay with the black eyes? I say let's try the green. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a green dot in between each eye. Now, here's the trick with eyes. We did the eyes before, right? Just doing those ivory lines by using the 45-degree angle trick, right? So you just take this and you go straight down at a 45-degree angle. Now I'm going to go in straight down on the eye. So let's start with green. I'm going to try green. So I'm going to take a little bit of blue, a little bit of yellow, because that's what makes green. Take a little bit more of the blue. Get a nice teal color here. And we'll see how this plays out. So I'm going to make sure I just have a little on my brush. Use a dot. Now, the trick with eyes is you start with one. Start with the hardest eye you can think of. Since this one's in the open, I'm going to start with this hardest eye, and I'm just going to poke a dot. So I'm just going to find out where I want to put it. So let's see if I can do this on camera. So it's going to go somewhere. I don't know where it's going to go. There it is. So there's where my first eye is. That's my first eye. I don't know if you can see it. Okay? Now, eyes go in pairs. So if you got closer to the nose, then he's going to look this way. So you would want to put your eye over here. So you want to work in pairs since you find out where he's looking. So it looks like he's looking straight ahead here. So I think I'm fine with sticking the eye right here. See, that's much easier for me to hit. Your miniatures do not have to look straight on all of the time. So you start with the hardest eye, and you find where you can put the eyeball. Then, with the easier eye, you just make it match, so he's looking normal. You don't want him cross-eyed. So that one has a bigger eye than this one. So maybe we'll give this guy a little bit bigger of a eyeball or a pupil. There we go. Whoops, sorry. So let's see if you can see that. Doesn't look bad, right? Again, all I did was take and go straight this way with the brush, poke it, poke the hardest one first, and then match up the other eye. So if you're having cross-eye problems with your miniatures, then start with the hardest and then make the easiest one do the same thing. So like, let's take this guy for example, right? So let's say I have his eyeball. So remember, this is how we did this. We painted the inside of the eye. Just for people that didn't see the other shows, we painted the inside of the eye with this nice dark black or brown, depending on what preference you like. And remember, we did the face, we did the eyes before we did the face, so that you could kind of go around the horn, you know, and fix the flesh around the eyes, right? If you made it too big, you can always take flesh and go around the eyes. So I have to wait for this to dry. Let's go back over here to our skeleton. Remember, this is our skull. Gonna take our glaze, get rid of the moisture on the, and then you're just gonna kind of glaze over the skull. I could have kept the ivory on here, right? And you just take the glaze, and then you glaze. So you can start to see that that ivory is starting to kind of darken down. Now, it may be still too bright, right? Well, I think on that I did like 5 or 6 glaze coats in order to get the darkness down. Ooh, Flying Ryan coming in at a potty of 6. Let me cut the music off for a second. And we're gonna let this play out. Is the X-Men music too loud? Can you still hear me? It's long, that's why. It's quite quiet? Oh, awesome. This whole time, because over here it's super loud. I mean, not loud enough for me to go deaf, but it's louder than even the music. So anyway, welcome in, Raiders. My name is Geltip. This is Thursday Paint Along with Geltip. Tonight we are, or all month of April, we're painting up Grimkel Bloodbeard from Reaper Miniatures. It's 30102. People can order that miniature. They can join my Discord and get the color palette that we're using. I list out the basic color palettes. If you have those paints, you can use those paints. And if you want to see what I'm using, I also list out those. And then if you have any alternative colors that I don't know about, you can always ask, and I can tell you, yes, that's the color I'm using, or no, that's not the color I'm using. But we're using 10 paints to do this. We just got done doing the eyes. We just gave them some green eyes. So yeah, join the Discord. Thursday night paint-alongs. Find the information. Every Thursday night we're going to try to do that. This is the third month we've been doing it. Last month we were doing the Dark Elf Priestess. We were painting that up. So there she is. And most of these are just tabletop quality stuff. You know, nothing, we're not doing anything, you know, competition worthy here. In February, we painted up the dragon Dragonborn fighter. We did a green dragon. Not many green dragons out there that people play. A lot of people are playing blues or reds, but we decided to do this as a green dragonborn. And yeah, so this is a Nolzur's miniature. This is a Nolzur's dragonborn. There's two versions of this guy, but we decided to paint this one. And then this is a Reaper miniature. Whoops. This is a Bones Black miniature. Don't remember the exact number for her, but you can check that out. That information is in my Discord. And we're just kind of painting along. Tuesday nights, I'm here painting something. And I've designated my unofficial or my unfinished projects as the film case brigade. So a lot of times I'll use a film case to put projects on. And we were just kind of going through how to do eyes for people, and giving you some tips on eyes, but we had to wait for the brown to dry out. So you're here at a great moment, because those of you that have struggled with eyes might learn something, or maybe you already know how to do eyes. But this is where we're at, and we did some non-metallic metal tonight on the hilt of the sword here. And we may do non-metallic metal up here. I haven't really totally figured it out. Maybe we'll do some easy non-metallic metal, which is a couple shines here where the tip is, and maybe down here. So we'll see how far we can get. But we just got done doing the eyes in here, and we just got done doing all the stitching on his pants, and we did the non-metallic gold hilt tonight. Let's see. Music is fine. Actually, no, I might have just been me. I think I had my volume down. Oh, there you go. Then there you go. Sure. If your volume's down, it's probably always going to be quiet. Just quickly, I wanted to show off the eyes here. So the trick is, when you're doing eyes, you don't go straight in. You don't make lines. But if you actually angle your brush at a 45-degree angle and go straight down, you can get some preliminary ovals, which is what I'm going to do here. So I'm just going to kind of I'm going to use a lot of paint on this brush. I shouldn't be using this brush to do it, but well, you know what? No. Let's get a real brush to do this. I want one that has a belly, because that's what's going to give me the oval, right? So again, we're using the tip of the brush, so you're not really putting a lot of paint on the brush. You're using the tip, and you're just going to hit it at a 45-degree angle. And I'm not going to come this way with it. I'm going to go straight down at a 45-degree angle. So when I do this, if I can see it, hopefully it shows you, I go blip, and then I go blip, and there you go. Those are the ovals that you get when you just go straight down at a 45-degree angle. Now, if I was to go at a 90-degree angle, I'm only going to use this tip, and I'm going to make a dot, right? So what we were saying is that I'm going to use some black here so you can see this. I have to wait for the ivory to dry anyway. So when I do this, you're going to start with the hardest eye that you can get to, right? So like on this guy, these eyes are pretty easy to get to, but this one over here is the hardest. So that's what I started with. So when I went and I poked into the eye here, I find out where the eyeball placement is. And then I go to the easy one, and I make it look so that they're looking one direction instead of cross-eyed. So when I do it, this one, I don't have a really hard eye here. So what I want to do is go at it 90 degrees. So I know on the camera I'm not at 90 degrees, but I'm going to try it. Let's see if I can do it. See, I can't show you because I have to be at 90 degrees. You just have to know that I'm doing 90 degrees. So I'm just getting it, and bloop. Whoops. Missed it. Bloop. Right? So there it is. So that's where I got that one, right? Now, just say, for whatever reason, I'm just going to get rid of this eyeball. Let me just get rid of this. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. Let's say for whatever reason, when you're poking, you poke over here, right? You go too far over this side. That's all right, because then you just do the same thing over here. You poke on this side, and now he's just looking off into one direction. That's all. So let's go back to what I did before. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of fix things. Don't mind me. This is another way you can do it. Just paint everything black and put 2 white dots on the edge. So I could put a white dot here and put a white dot over here. All right. So you can do that. You can put white dots there, and then you do the same thing over here. So you just have to kind of make the white dots match. This is a little bit more difficult, only because you have to kind of get the white dots to kind of be relatively the same. Yeah, I didn't do it that way. But that's the trick. So you start with the hardest eye, and then you make the other eye look like it's looking in the same direction. So if you can get the one eye to look straight ahead, then you get the other eye to look straight ahead. And you start with the hardest eye you can, because that's going to dictate how they're looking. And then you can clean up around the eyes afterwards. So hopefully that helps people out. If it doesn't, sorry. But if you can learn anything from that, then that's great. I shouldn't really be the hardest, not the hardest, but I shouldn't be the thing that you not do on a miniature, unless it's, you know, a skeleton. Then you don't have to worry about eyes. So that's who I am, Raiders. My name is Geltip. I'm a miniature painter, and we do all kinds of stuff here. Today we're doing some D&D stuff. I do some other stuff like Warhammer, Citadel. So here's a Citadel guy that I'm working on for a friend. We're also started working on some chibis. If you know the 80s cartoon of Dungeons and Dragons, you would recognize Warduke. We were working on him Tuesday. If you don't recognize Warduke, it's because I think he was more of a action figure than he was a in the cartoon. But we have Dungeon Master. Here's Dungeon Master. And then I actually have all of them that I'm painting up. Here is another unfinished project because it's on a film case. So I do some Corvus Cabal for Warcry, and we're also working on some Dweghome for Conquest. Or yeah, it's Conquest. So I like painting miniatures. Let's put it that way. So all right, let's get back to Grimkel. For those of us that are in here, I'm gonna go through now that I've hit everything with a black that I want silver. Oh, there's one thing that I didn't hit black. We need to do, and that is these studs on the belt. So we're gonna just paint those black really quick. I think there's 2 studs back here. And then just looking around here, I don't see any other studs. Well, is this a stud here? Yeah, there's a stud right here. Again, I'm still not seeing the color scheme for the scabbard. So we're going to wait on the scabbard. We've got lots of colors here to work with. So we'll figure out what we want for the scabbard. But for right now, I think everything that we have studs for are black. So this is what I'm going to use for the actual metallic for. That 2 hours went fast. Is there 2 hours? I got 10:45, so I still got about 15-20 minutes left in me. But it did go by fast. And you know why it went by fast? Because all we did was non-metallic metal. I told you, non-metallic metal is not a fast process. It's an end product, but it's not a fast process. And so, well, I could do this silver if I wanted to, but let's see if we can do some non-metallic metal there and see how that goes. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and just start painting all the studs. So all of these little studs here, I'm just going to paint with this non-metallic metal. And then I'm also going to do anything that is on his belt, like a clasp. Okay? So if you're painting along, that's what we're going to do. I'll put some music back on and we'll get to it. And like I said, we don't have to do non-metallic metal everywhere. Just the fact that we tried it there is good enough. And now I'm just going to go into regular metallic and just start hitting things. Now, the one thing you can do if you struggle with the balls or the gems, I like to put the tip on the little stud there and just twirl it. Just put the tip there and twirl. And it should keep that black area around it so that it kind of shows up. So again, I'm just going to take the tip here, put it on here, and just kind of twirl it around. Now I could just dot if I wanted to. But that kind of ensures that I have this little darkness around it so that you can see it. Go. Alright. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. So we're just going to kind of hit these little studs here with this metallic paint. Sometimes I have to hold the brush handle on the back side because my hand or fingers will get in the way, and then I start sliding off the place that I want to paint. So give it a shot. See if you hold the brush handle on the back end and try to keep it sturdy. See if you can paint something clean that way. This is all about being nice and clean and controlled. If you go too fast, like there's a stud down here that I made a mistake on, I'll have to go in and clean that up after. But painting should be a nice, relaxing patience. There is ways that we can speed up our process. They make paints to speed up our process. But there are certain things that you just want to make sure you take your time with so it comes out like your vision. I think next week what we'll do is spend some time finishing off some last minute details. maybe we don't put tattoos on this guy. Maybe we plan for that on another paint along. And the reason is because I really want to spend time just kind of showing you how to clean up and make things look a little neater if you feel that your miniature is kind of messy. Like, I feel like his boots are messy, so I can clean that up just by using the brown liner. And a lot of times people say, well, how can my painting get better? And it's mostly, well, if you spend the time to kind of clean up the miniature in certain places, your miniature looks better. It's not even that you're painting badly. It's the fact that maybe you're just not spending the time to clean and separate things out. Because remember, he's wearing boots, he's wearing pants, he's not wearing a shirt, but he has a beard. Those things need to be called out, and everything that we have in life makes a line somewhere. If you put your hand on top of a piece of wood or on a table, there's a line between your hand and that table. That's why when I paint, I've always painted dark first and then just build up the highlights. But somebody introduced me to these liners, and contrast paints from Citadel are just fantastic as liners. I love them. It's like I can get any color I want, and I can use it as a glaze, or I can use it as a lining tool. And not everything has to be a black line. His flesh is sort of browns, and the gold, we use brown, and his boots are brown. So I could technically just use a brown liner, which I do. I have. We have some studs in the bracelet itself. I'm going to save the bracelet not to be studs, because I might want to do those as gemstones. So I will do the edge of these silver, though. Now see, here's a part where I could try to force myself to go down, but then I have a pant leg here. So I think I'm going to have to turn the miniature so that I know I'm not going to hit that pant leg. So I'm just going to do as much as I can this way, because my brush is going to hit that pant leg, and then I'm not going to have a nice, neat trim on this bracelet. So what I'm going to do, let's turn the miniature upside down and paint away from the pant leg. Let's see if, there we go. I think you can see this. You might not be able to. Hey, Jackal's Howl, thank you so much for that follow. How are you doing? Hopefully, are you a miniature painter as well? Are you just kind of lurking around? There we go. Sleepy, been smelling Citadel paint all day. Really? Do you make Citadel paint, or do you just paint with it? Are you one of those? Do you use a lot of it as like vast armies, terrain? You do some belt buckles. So one of the things that I'm going to do this year for ReaperCon is do a diorama. I haven't done any kind of sculpting, and I haven't done any kind of dioramas before. So this will be an out-of-the-box kind of thinking. It's a larger project than I'm ever used to. So I'm not really expecting to go to win. I want to do the best I can. But it's a skill that I want to try to hone in on and see if I enjoy it. So even though that I don't know what I'm doing, it does lead me to some classes at ReaperCon that might have some sculpting to it. And then I have to start getting into some plinths. So I have to start doing those things as well. So lots of stuff that I want to try. So you have to try to think out of the box. No, it's what I paint with, working with Indominus box from my local store. Oh, you're gonna compete? Yeah. I think I've been itching for more competitions. It's not the fact that I'm looking for the best, right? Like, everybody wants to win an award. That's the whole reason to compete, right? Is to win an award. But I'm not doing the competitions to really say, oh, I'm the best. I won the award. I've hit my level. I do it because I want to see what other people are doing, what other winners have, or better painters than me. Because let's face it, we all have someone we look up to, right? And I may be a great painter, but there's somebody that's better than me. And I'm better than somebody else. And that's just the way it is. And there's always somebody that's better than somebody else. So what I use the contest for is to see, okay, here's what my stuff looks like. Here's what one of the best painters of the world looks like. What do I need? How does mine look to theirs, so I know what I'm competing against? And I know what it is. It's my blending. And so I've been looking at how to blend a little bit better, because the better painters have smoother blends than I do. I mean, here's one piece. Now, if I look at her up close, you know, there's some chalkiness that's going on in this miniature, right? You can't see it so much in the dark colors, but you can in the light colors, and that's where my improving needs to come from. But before, I never knew how to do hair, you know, so the hair here looks a little bit better than what I've done before. And it might just be my color choices, you know. So I've been really focused on trying to get more on better blends. I mean, here's a piece I did long ago. I was trying to do like bone armor, and you can start to see I just don't have those smooth transitions here. And the problem is I never glazed. I think if I go in and I glaze this, I can get a smoother transition. So I do want to compete. I like competing, but I like competing to learn. I mean, it's always nice to get that medal or that trophy or the big thing, you know, monetary awards. But if you're not learning, if you're not continuing to learn, what's the point, right? Why would I want to compete if I'm just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again and not try to get better? It's just not, you know, I can't do that. All right. So yeah. So I'll be competing at ReaperCon. I'm going to try to get a diorama in there. Whether that diorama is going to look good, who knows. I think there's a little edge plate here on his boot that I'm going to try to get metal. So let me do that really quick. I don't know if this is a fault in the sculpt that I missed, or if this is actually in the on the miniature itself, but I'm going to do this little plate because he has this little patch in here. So I'm going to do that patch in a different color. But, yeah, there we go. So we'll just get this to be a little smoother. Alright. So now, remember when we were talking about that scabbard and we were going to do it black, but we were against the black pants? Well, now we have these silvery things around it. We have these red stitches around it, so maybe black isn't going to be a problem, or maybe it is. Maybe we do something else. Maybe I do it maybe I mix a little bit of that red and mahogany together and make a little reddish brown leather, and then trim it off with some silver. So we'll worry about that after. But see, all that non-metallic metal now just kind of, all that metallic paint. We don't need to do non-metallic metal everywhere. It just reads nicely. That's why I watch other painters to learn. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter how you paint. Somebody can learn from you. They really can. You know, just be in the knowledge. Just know, you know, don't put nonsense out there. You know, if you just talk about what you know, and if you don't know, just be honest. Say, I don't know, but I'll look into that. That's why I have all these paints. Like, I have all different paints. I've got Turbo Door, Cuttlefish Colors, Monument Hobbies, Molten Metals from Dark Star. You know, the only paint that I don't have that I haven't used is Army Painter. And I know that's a big paint company, and I just don't have any of those paints. I do have their washes, though, their tones that I have to start to use. But one of the things I wanted to do on the stream is actually take like all Reaper colors, kind of use all Reaper colors, and paint one model. Paint the same model with all like Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl. Paint all of it with Army Painter and see which one that I like. So it's just an experience that, because I want that first-hand knowledge when somebody says, hey, what do you think about this paint? I want to be able to say, well, here's the good points about it, here's the bad points about it, and you know it's coming from somebody that has used it. As opposed to, I could watch all kinds of videos and tell you about those videos that other people have used, but in the end, it's all of your preference. All right. So here's the issue that I'm having. There's a lot of dark on him, and I want to bring out a little bit more of him per se. Now, I like this black base. I like the dark base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm just going to paint this base a dark brown, and I'm going to paint the rock here sort of a grayish color, and I'm just going to bring some color into this base. And what happens is when you do that, you start, even though that this is black, you're still getting to see most of the model, right? But there's black pants on here, there's a black bracer here, there's a black blade right now. So let's get some color onto this base and see how it brings the miniature into a different light. So I'm just going to use a bigger brush. This is my this is my Reaper Pro number 2. And I'm just going to kind of paint the base brown here. I don't know what I want to do for the base yet. I don't know how I want to paint it, but I do know that I don't want it to be black. Plus, it's got some spillover from the boots when we painted them. So this is always a great way to see where your model is looking, how to approach it. And who knows, maybe this dark mahogany brown or your dark brown is just what the doctor ordered. Maybe it does look correct for you. Or maybe you want to give him a snowy base. If you're going to do a white base, you might want to wait until you get most of the miniature done But this is, I'm only doing the top. I'm not doing the entire base. But he does have a rock he's standing on, so this will help get rid of that rock too. Or, well, bring out the rock, I should say. Bring out the rock! And so what that does is now, since this is a nice dark brown, it kind of breaks up this black down here with this black, black, black. So. And then I think we're definitely going to do a different color for the scabbard, because I'm losing that scabbard in all of this. And if I do it black, it means that your eyes aren't going to even focus on the scabbard. So let's see, let's mix a little bit of the black. Mix a little bit of the ivory. That makes a nice warm gray. I'm going to add a little bit of the brown that we just used. And I'm going to add a little bit of the yellow. Make this nice kind of golden, warm gray color. And that's what I'm going to do this rock with. And because I mixed 4 colors, I can use any one of those 4 colors to either shade or highlight this rock, and it won't look disconnected. So I can use the ivory to highlight, I can use the black to shade, I can use the browns to shade, I can use any combination of those to either shade or highlight. I can add more ivory to that gray. So I used too big of a brush to get in there. So we'll have to fix that off. There we go. And then I know a lot of people like to do the black rim at the very end to signify that they're done. So we'll wait on that. Alright. What to do with the blade. We can try non-metallic metal, or you can use the metallic metal. I guess it's whichever you prefer. So I'm going to try. Alright. We're going to play. So I'm going to do a little bit of blue. So I'm kind of do what I did with this guy here. I'm going to get some blue, but I don't want to go super blue with it like on that guy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some black. Going to take some white. Get a nice gray going. I'm going to cool that off with a little bit of blue. And I'm just going to paint the entire sword this blue color. Actually, maybe I'll just do half of it. So you see where that highlight line is that you made with the gold? I'm going to try to stay with that so that the bottom of this blade is the black that we were using. Like that. I'll do the same thing on here. Now, I'll show you another trick that I learned from somebody. I don't remember who showed me this. But if you use the edge of your, instead of coming straight with the tip, if you use the edge of your tip to come at yourself, you can get a nice even line. Like this. just do this. Now you could just keep it like that if you want, but I think some of us want more of a metallic feel to it, so we have to get some more highlights in there. But you could technically use just this, and then we can add some more white to that to make a definition in line and reflections. So, but we can only do that if we can only do that once it's dry. So there is one thing I'm going to do here. My black or shadow line here is a little skewed, so I'm just going to go in and touch that up really quick. Hopefully yours is not skewed. Yeah, that's much better. All right. I'm going to use my lining brush, and I'm not going to use all of this color. I'm just going to use some of it, and I'm going to add a little bit of white. And the trick here is that a little bit of white goes a long way. You can really overpower your colors with white. So just be careful. You just want to add just a tad bit of white. You don't want to do too much. And I'm just going to go in and just kind of make a nice little line, edge line right above the black. On the side of the black. I have to hold the miniature in such a way that I can actually do this. And I'm trying to do it on camera, so you want to kind of keep it as light as possible, but sometimes it's not in the cards to do that. Oops, like that, see? But that's alright. That's on the black side of it, so I can get to the black side. We'll try it on this side. You want the edge on this side of the black line. So what you're actually doing is creating the illusion that this is a double-bladed sword, even though it's a flat sword. No, that's not working for me. Come on. Looks like I chose a bad day to do edging. Get my black. Let's fix this edge line that I messed up. So everybody messes up. There we go. So now remember that this was a flat sword, and I just made it look like it was beveled. Because now that edge line right there. And then I'm going to take that same color I had. So I need a little bit more here. I take the same color. And I'm going to hit the edge of this. So I'm going to use the side of my brush. And I'm just going to kind of hit the edge here. Not doing a very good job edging today. So the trick to edging is that you want to make one line. You want I know you see me going back and forth, but as I go back, I'm not hitting the miniature. I'm trying to hit the miniature as I go one way. Like that. I'll do the same thing over here. So, I'm going to come at me. And I'm just going to kind of hit with the edge of the blade. Much better. Go. All right. Now we need the bounce light. So I'm going to hit the edge here with just a smidge of this original blue that we did. And the same thing as we did before. Except you don't want to do too much of that. A little bit more of the dark here. A little more of the dark over here. Okay. Now I know what you're saying. It doesn't look metallic. Well, that's because we haven't done the white yet. So we need to use our white. So now I'm going to actually push this blue color a little bit more to the lighter side with the white. And this is where you want to do, remember how we did on the gold? You want to kind of just do sort of in the middle here. If I can do it. I might need a little bit more of a stability here. So the trick here is that I'm trying to make an edge where there's no edge. So I think what we have to do right, so I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm just going to start like at the top, or start like right about here, and paint this line. Yeah, that's not going to work. Should always do my little tricks of the trade. Ah. Alright, time to go back to the black and fix up that mess. I'm trying to do like a quick non-metallic metal for you, because a lot of people are like, oh, non-metallic metal, I need to stay away, or I need to do a whole bunch of glazing, or I need to... Tabletop miniatures, that's not true. You can make this... All you need is that extreme highlight and that extreme darkness, and that's what you're doing here with the black. You're getting the extreme darkness down here. And we're going to pull it up to a white, which is going to make the shine. All right. So I'm going to take this, and this time I'm going to try to make a shine here. So I'm going to try to make the shine at an angle here. There's a little divot right here. And then I'm also going to do the tip up here. So I'm just going to do like this parallel. And then using that color here, I'm going to make this. So basically you want the H, right? So you're going to do the side here. And then I'm going to do a little bit right here. Now this is all with that light blue. Okay. So same thing here. So you can do this anywhere. I'm going to do the tip of the blade up here. And then maybe right here. That looks like a good spot right there. And then I do the H. So you do the H here. You do the H here. And then if you're better than me, you won't hit that black at all. And just like we did with the white on the gold, you just hit the points. So like right up here, the tip of the blade should see some white. That's too much white, so I'll bring it back down after. But there's this H here that we want to worry about. So I'm going to just put a little line of white right in the middle of that H. And then just make a smaller H in the bigger H. Something like that. Get some highlight there. Again, this I'll show you what I wanted to do. I just wanted to get a point of white right there. This line of white right there. And then you make the small H. Again, as a tabletop miniature, it doesn't have to be totally perfect. But if you want a head start on metallic metal, and then we take that white. I know you think we're done, but I'm just going to go in the middle of this blade right here. So maybe right there. I'm just going to add some white. Not it's too much white, but I'm not having a good lining day. I'm sorry, folks. Oh. Alright, let's try this one more time. Let's get some black here. Some of this coal black. Really kind of fix this up. Now it looks a little stony. I give you that. But that's what glazes come in for, so. Just doing a quick. Just trying to figure out where I want my highlight color. I'm just fixing up lines right now. I'm not really doing much of trying to glaze or trying to blend anything. I'm just fixing my edge lines. There we go. So I have to make more of this color. So we want some of the black, right? We use some of the black. We use some of the white. We use some of the blue. I think we needed more black. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of this black. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take some black. We're going to take some blue. Black and blue. A little more blue. A little more black. So we're going to take some of this dark blue, and I'm going to add in just a smidge of white. So I have this sort of muted blue, and we're going to add a little bit of water to that. Gonna add a little bit of glaze medium. Yes, we're making a glaze, folks. 3 shots of water or 3 shots of glaze medium, and I'm just gonna kind of glaze the whole blade down a little bit just to soften all of those edge highlights that we have. So it's gonna almost be a wash, but I'm not gonna go on the black side of this. I'm just gonna stay on the front on this side. And I'm just gonna kind of wash over all of it with this nice dark blue shade. I know I didn't want to go too blue with this, but we ended up going too blue with it. So we'll wait for that to kind of glaze down. Ah, I know what I did wrong. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So see, when you glaze it, you can kind of see where the shines are. So I could do... I could take a picture and do that. I'm just waiting for the glaze to dry. Hey, War Squirtle. But that's kind of like how, if this isn't working, on the table, it'll look pretty good, right? Because I get this nice blue blade here that I can take to be this is too dark, this is too blue. So what I have to do is I have to take this up a notch, and that's kind of what I didn't do. So we'll take that up a notch in a second. But The trick here is tabletop quality. Just that black and that light blue is going to make it look non-metallic. You don't need to have all those shines. It doesn't need to do. Do you think that they will have Frostgrave games at ReaperCon, or do they play games? I'm not sure. They might. I don't know what games that they do. I know there's a lot of D&D games. There's probably going to be Dungeon Dweller games. I know a lot of people have scenarios where they set up terrain in a dungeon, so it's like miniature little skirmish games. As far as specific companies, I don't know. However, anybody could have a Frostgrave game. Anybody could have a Warhammer game there. I guess it really depends on those people. I only went once, and there was tons of games going on. Some scheduled for role-playing games. Others were just people doing their own thing. There's spots where you can do your own thing. So that I'm not sure of. So yeah, so I didn't go bright enough. Like on here with the gold, we started with the brown, dark brown, and we kept going up and up and up. And I didn't do that here. I stayed with one color and just did half one and half the side of the other. So this is kind of showing me where I can put some highlights. So that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. Cool. I'll look into it. Yeah. I don't know what games have been. I know that they're submitting games now, so I don't know when that's going to be up and running on Reaper. But check the Reaper forums and check the Reaper Discord for that announcement to come. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this white that we have and some of this glaze color that we have. I'm just going to take it. Take some of this color here. And I'm just going to go in and take care of this now. So I'm just going to use this. I don't want it to go all over, but I'm just going to kind of get a nice glaze of highlight color right here. And maybe up here. And we'll do the same thing over here. So it looks like this is where I want that glaze. And up here is where I want that glaze. So yeah, that's the piece that I'm missing right there. Add a little more weight to this. Now I'm glazing up the colors, but I'm hoping that this doesn't leave a chalky feel. So once this dries, I have a brighter color here. It's not too much brighter, but I'm going to be inside these colors here. So as this darkens up, I'm going to get some brighter colors in here. I know we're a little over time, but that's all right. I kind of wanted to really get this out of the way here. So this is still wet. But this is what glazing does. You have to kind of wait for it. Yeah, so you could keep it just like this, and it looks like it's non-metallic, but we want to get some brighter colors in there. So I'm really punching the white in this one. I'm still touching the paper towel. And I'm going to get into just the middle of this. I don't want to go all over, I just want the middle. I want the tip of the blade here. Same thing here. I want the middle of this and the tip of the blade. And as you do this, it just becomes more and more. Add a little bit of white. Again, white is the last piece of the puzzle here. Goofy Gooble. Goofy Goob. Thank you so much for that follow. How are you doing? What have you been working on? Are you a miniature painter as well? Gotta wait for that glaze to dry. But again, you're staying in the middle. Right? Once that glaze is dry, you can stay right in the middle of that. Stay closer to the tip here. Stay right in the middle. I'm just trying to do some easy non-metallic. This isn't, you know, we're not going to keep glazing in and out of colors. Again, this is only for tabletop, right? So once you punch it up, I mean, I could take this right here, this dark color here, right? And I could just kind of clean up in here a little bit. Don't have to clean up too much. Just wherever those edge... Remember, glazing is just getting rid of those edge lines. So you just want to kind of soften them up. Take this color again. See where this edge line is right there? If I wanted to, I could just kind of paint right over that and kind of get rid of it. Same thing with this one right here. Just get rid of that. And the same thing down here. Just get rid of it. That's what glazing does. You just kind of soften out those edges. Alright, so once this is dry, we'll hit with the white. That's kind of what I was looking for. Okay, did a quick couple games of Mech Warrior, and now I'm back. Awesome! Awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, once this dries, hit this with white. We're going to hit it in the middle, like we were. We're going to hit it in the tip, and over here we're going to make those H's. I could make the H's here right now if I wanted to. That would look something like this. This color right here. Wait, hold on. So this color right here, where that bright is, we're just going to kind of make that H. So there's an H right here. If I can do it. Whoops. Get rid of that. Ah. I'm telling you, my edge highlighting today is not the... It's not working. Not working whatsoever. Get rid of that. That doesn't need to be there. You know what it is? It's because I'm using... I know what it is. I know exactly what it is. I'm using the glaze to do it. I don't want to use the glaze. I'm making a layer paint out of that glaze. Alright, there we go. That's why you don't use all of your layer paint to make the glaze. Alright, so now if I use this, I should be able to do this. So I want to do this H here. So there's a spot here. And then there's a spot right here. Right. And then there's this spot right here. That's where the H is. And then over here, your H is the tip. So we're just going to do the tip here. And then down the middle here. Look at this. Got another raid coming. Feisty Crabman's raiding in with 6. How you doing, Feisty Crabman? What have you been working on today? Hey, listen, you know what? I haven't given any shout-outs today during our paint-along, and I'm going to do that now. We got a lot of talent in this house. I feel very bad that I've been so into the miniature painting that I have not done any shout-outs. So there's an H here, right? And then there's the tip, and then there's the H here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with the white, and I'm actually going to make those H's a little skinnier and stuff. But for right now, I did mess up this, so I'm going to get this back to a black. And then we're going to give out some shout outs. And I'm going to talk to all the raiders. So, see what happens when you put that darkness back in there? So we've been painting over some of this darkness. So I'm just going to go in and fix it. And then I'm going to talk to all the raiders that came in, because you guys are awesome. Now, let me explain what we're doing to everybody that's come in. We are painting up. This is a Thursday night paint along. So, sword is looking cool. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, on Thursdays, I started my stream years ago, and I always wanted it to be like an information stream. I wanted it to always be like a teaching stream. And so, during the summers, I do these little classes, so if you want to get better at painting and start learning different techniques, you can do it. Well, this year, I decided that on Thursdays, we're going to do a paint along. So it's kind of like a Bob Ross kind of thing when you can try to paint with him on canvas. But in my Discord, if you join the Discord, you can go to the Thursday night paint along challenge. Or not challenge, but paint along. And what I do is I tell you what miniature we're painting. So if you wanted to order it, it's usually from Reaper or Nolzer's or any local game store. Maybe you have it sitting in, on a shelf from Games Workshop or whatever. But then I also give you a base color palette so that you can look at whatever paints you have to see if you have the colors that I'll be using for the Thursday night paint-alongs. And then I will also tell you what I'm using specifically. And then if I know any alternative colors that you might want to get or don't have, I will also put that in there. This month I haven't done that because everybody has a flesh, everybody has an ivory, everybody has a reddish brown color. So if you're not sure if your paint's going to work for the paint along, you can always ask me in Discord. Now I know everybody has a Discord. I know that we're all part of the Discord. I'm trying to make my Discord not, you always have to be in there to know what's going on. I want it to be an information source. So if I do summer classes on Twitch and you're following along, anything that I teach in those classes, I'll put into the Discord. I'll find videos or whatever to kind of get that across. And that's called The University. You can find that in the Discord. I try to promote everybody on streams. So you'll notice there's a slideshow, right? My big fat finger is pointing to it. There's a slideshow here that shows a lot of streamers and their talents. And so all you need to do is just give me a picture of your most proudest miniature. Maybe it's the best miniature you've ever painted in your life. Maybe you were trying to find that non-metallic metal or that certain effect you were trying to go for. Maybe it's you got inspired to paint something that you saw on television. Whatever that is that you're so proud of, send me a picture. I'll make you a promo slide. every time I stream, your name gets put up there. Do you have to be streaming on Twitch to do it? Absolutely not. If you have an Instagram and you like to show off your work, I'll also throw up your Instagram link up there. And that way people know who you are and if you want to get better. That's the advertisement slideshow channel. I also have a mall, so if you guys make stuff and sell stuff and print stuff and you want to promote your business, you can go into the mall area and you can advertise yourself. So I have a lot of stuff in the Discord, but it's mostly just for you to put information there or find information. You don't have to chat, you don't have to hang out, you don't have to, if you want to show off your pics, if you want to show off your paint-alongs, you can put anything in there. You just have to join. Anytime I go to a convention, I'll put stuff up here. And this slideshow here is just some of the tools that you can find and some of the awesome crafters, hobbyists, businesses out there. So maybe you don't know that Huge sells paints and you want to go to their website and find out. Maybe you want a nice plinth. So there's Jacob Johansson right there. I didn't even know that was coming up. I was going to say it, but there he is, Jacob Johansson. So, or Janison. So there's a lot of stuff out there. So I'm glad that everybody's here at the stream. Let me explain. My name is Geltip, by the way, Raiders. I am a miniature painter, if you haven't noticed. I don't just paint D&D stuff. I paint all kinds of stuff. I do paint. I'm starting on chibis, so I'm trying to do some chibi stuff. Anybody that knows the 80s cartoon for D&D knows that this is Warduke. And this was an action figure. So this is what I was painting on Tuesday. I do stream on Tuesdays. And Tuesdays, it's just me going through my pile of shame. We have the film case brigade. So anything that's on a film case that I use to hold stuff is things that are in the process, in the works, that I never finish. Oops, I almost lost him. So this guy is Warcry. That's a Citadel figure. I haven't finished him yet because he's on a film case. Here's a Snake Charmer from Warcry. Haven't finished him. He's on a film case. Working on this. Working on Icy Death Guard for a friend. He's not on a film case, but he is on a holder, so he's not finished yet. So these are what we do. I resorted to bottle caps because I have the Game Envy holder. So if it's on a bottle cap, on a film case, on any kind of holder, it's probably not finished. So film cases, love it. Yes, it's the cheapest holder you can find outside of a bottle cap. And it's the right size almost for me. So there you go. This is what I do. I just paint miniatures. I do all kinds of stuff. I used to be a wargamer. I'm back into the D&D scene. So, and sometimes I get special projects, like my brother who works for a company. It's related to The Sims. They made a mascot for him and made a 3D STL of it. So he sent me that STL, and now I'm just printing and painting out the flying womp womps. There's one. I think this one is the traditional one. I think it's just blue and yellow. If you play Sims, you might have seen this. I did do another one for him. It was like a Yeti themed one. So that's what we do. I'm a miniature painter. I love it. It's so relaxing. And so tonight, just to let you know, tonight is we're painting up Grimkel Bloodbeard, and we've gone over time, but that's fine. You guys have come in. You'll see me paint some extra stuff on here. But normally we do this. Normally we do this from 9 to 11. In April, this is our piece. Hey, Jotun, what's going on? I didn't even see you come in. Oh, there. Yep, there you go. How you doing, Jotun? I haven't seen you in a while. You're alive, sort of? Oh, man. Still? I thought you were getting better. I've been doing well. I've been doing well. So this was the April paint along. We're still doing it every Thursday night in and out of the hospital. Yuck. Yuck. This was February. It was a Nolzur's Dragonborn fighter. We just went easy with it. We did nice green with metallics here, and I try to give a limited color palette. So whether it's usually about 10 different paints, and hopefully everybody has those paints. So that was this was February, right? This was February. This one was March. This was the Dark Elf Priestess we did in March. We spent some... Oh my gosh. See what happens when I don't have her on a folder? So we painted this in March. We had 5 weeks to work on this. We kind of gave her like a purple-white scheme because I really wanted to show off the darkness of the Dark Elf. And so you can see the face, kind of. Hopefully you can see the face. But this was a paint along for March, and so this time we're doing this one. And I think based on May and June, since I'm not streaming as much in those months, I will do something else, probably a terrain piece. But that's who I am. I know it's a lot of information all at once, but we have a lot of cool people in here. And speaking about cool people, I'm going to do this really quick because we have so many awesome folks in here. Cutie Patootie is a fantastic streamer. Go find her, give her a follow, see what she's all about. She does all kinds of stuff. She's back into the miniature painting. And she was doing Minecraft. I know Antifreeze was here lurking around somewhere. Maybe he's painting. Not sure, but he's I don't know if he streams yet. Flying Ryan came in with a raid, so I know he's streaming. So go check out Flying Ryan. I have yet to get a stream of his because he's always twitching when I am, apparently, or that I don't know about. Another fantastic person that everybody needs to go follow is Haunted Miniatures. He was in the house. Hopefully he's still around. Feisty Crabman coming in with a raid. I have to still check out one of your streams. I don't know if I was in one of your streams before. That I'm going to have to find out. I don't know if Jackal's Howl or Goofy Goob streams, but if you do, let us know. We'll give you a quick shout out as well. Those are my 2 new followers today. And I know there was somebody else. I haven't been to many of them yet. Okay, that's all right. I will still find you somewhere. Jotun has had some problems going in and out of the hospital, but I know he does stream, and I know that he was streaming at least a week ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. I know I saw you online somewhere. I just it was early in the morning, and I think I was in a work meeting, and I'm like, why is he doing it now? But maybe you can only do it when you can. Is there anybody else I missed in here? War Squirtle, you stream, don't you? I'm sure War Squirtle streams. Well, if you don't... No, I haven't streamed like in a year and a half. Really? Not since Joe passed. I could have sworn maybe it was somebody else that I saw then. Maybe there was another Jotun out there. War Squirtle, I think, was in here, wasn't he? There we go. I believe War Squirtle streams. I miss anybody. Anybody at all. It's been bad, family. I don't even have a chair I can sit in to stream. Oh. So sorry. I don't know who it was then. remember, kind of lost everything when I moved to the UK. Yeah, I know. It must be, I must have got, must be a different name or something. I know I had Jotun in the name, so, but I thought you might have just changed it from Jotun Wolfheart. But it could be totally somebody different. So I apologize. Are you getting any commissions for artwork though? I know you haven't streamed, but it's just it's just Jotun art now. Okay, well maybe it wasn't a stream. Maybe I just saw you chatting in somewhere, lurking somewhere. I don't really know. It's I have the ability to lurk at work now, but the way work is, I don't get a chance to get on until like in the late afternoon. So we made some H's here, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go through, and this is the hard part, is trying to keep it on camera where I can actually get a good way of painting on the lines. But what you want to do is you want to create this H. So I'm going to create this H like right here. Let's see. So like right in the middle here. Right, just going to put that there, and then I'm just going to create a little H inside this big H. If I can create this little H. Right, so you don't want to go too much. You don't want to go too much. And then you also want to kind of get this little tip up here. Remember, it's the point you want. And then maybe a quick line down here. That's all you need. Again, it's a game piece, right? So if it's not for competition, why do unnecessary stuff? Because it's going to be on the table, so that's where people are going to look at it. But it's a great kind of way into non-metallic metals. We did the blue because of the sky, right? And then I'm just going to get a little bit over. Oops. It's not a little bit now, is it? There we go. Oh, I missed one. I missed a line over here. So I want to stay on one side of that black. So for anybody that wasn't here, anybody that doesn't know this miniature, this is, I'm making a flat sword into this double-edged blade. So really, if you had this miniature, there is no line. There is no line right here in the middle. This is all one flat sword. And I could have done a flat sword, and I could have done... But I really just wanted... I wanted to get some non-metallic metal. Now, I could do the same... I could do the other side if I wanted to. But I'm going to keep it black because of the gold down here. So, that blue sword... as bright as I could, I could have made it brighter, but that blue sword will combat some of this orange reddish here. And remember, I could, if I wanted to, take some red and glaze back down to do the beard to make that redder. All right. I don't know. What do you guys think? Does he Is he looking all right? So what do we got left to do on him? We have some stitches that we can clean up. We'll do that next week. We have some black to edge highlight. We have a patch on his pants that we can make any color we want. I have this tunic here, which is a bright blue, so we can actually go ahead and make this brighter. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do that now while we're all here. I'm going to take some blue and some white, and I don't want it super bright, so I'm going to take some ivory and mix that in. And I'm going to take that color, and sort of as I'm looking at this, I can kind of already tell where that bright color's got to be. It's got to be kind of right here. Right here. Right. There's some right here. So if I'm looking at the light, it's kind of already dictating where that brightness is coming from. It's sort of coming from there. And then I can get some brightness up here, because this is more concentrated. And what we'll do is next week we'll kind of glaze down all of this. I think right here. So we'll glaze all those highlights down and really blend that in. And while I have that bright color up, I am going to go ahead and get these stitchings to be a little bit more popping. I'm not going to do the whole stitching. I'm just going to kind of do the front that you can see. That's the beauty of miniatures. Like, I don't have to do anything down here I don't want to, and just what I can see. So if this is how you're going to see it on a table, then that's what people should see as a highlight. Painting looks amazing as always, sir. Thank you so much. Kind of. I'm working on all of the art and design for Grimkel this year. Oh, sweet! I heard about Grimkel, and I want to actually make it over beyond the pond to see Warhammer World and Grimkel. When is Grimkel actually? Sharon, I'm doing a voluntary thing as thanks to the community for getting me here. Next year, I will be getting paid to do said work. Awesome. That's always great to get paid. Big problem is I can't work for more than like 2 or 3 hours a day. If I do more than 2 days, it really mess up my body. Hey, whatever you can give. I mean, you're a fantastic artist, and people should know that because you're the one that did a lot of the artwork. In fact, you did my logo for the Discord. You did my logo for Twitch, and I still have an emote that you did for me. Yeah, I try to help out people in the community. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring down the mood. I'm just trying to be real with people. Grimkel is Saturday, July 8th. You're not bringing anybody down. It's always great. We're like I said, we help everybody out here, and we're all together. I look at the miniature community as a bowling team or a bowling league. We all help each other, and we high five, even though that somebody's better than you when you're in competition. We high five anyway. So, all right. So we have a lot of stuff to do on him, but he now has eyes. He doesn't have just vacant eyes. He's got some green eyes to go with his red beard. We have some metal all around him. So I think next week when we get to him, we will look at that scabbard. I'm starting to have some plans for the scabbard. And we're going to clean up the miniature by putting some brown liner around places. And if we're lucky, we'll get some gemstones going on. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to paint inside the balls here, or the gems, or whatever you want to call these. So remember how we did the studs? I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm gonna make these nice and I'm gonna make these blue. And they may be too small for gems on camera, so we may just highlight them and make them like this blue color. And what that will do is that will bring the blue into the triangle. Does everybody know the triangle? If you don't know the triangle is you want to have colors in a triangle. So like this blue color, you got blue here, blue down here. That's the triangle color. Red, you can't really see it, but there's red stitches, red beard, right? So there's your triangle. The tan, brown, and the gold, that could technically be a triangle, but really it's the colors you want to be in a triangle, so that if you're looking at the blue, you're looking at all of the miniature. If you're looking at the red, you're seeing all of the red. Obviously from this angle, oh my gosh, I'm off camera. Obviously at this angle you can't see all of the red, but this is where I want the purple. Or purple? Oh my god. Maybe it is time to go, because now I don't know what color I'm using. This is where I want the blue. So we'll highlight the blue. Hey! We graduated! That's my cue. But here he is for now. We'll come back to him next week, next Thursday at 9 p.m. to finish Grimkel. And we'll find out where we're going to head next time. It's going to be a statue. If we decide that you like what you see, if you like these paint-alongs, I will continue doing them. I think it's a statue, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to look in the Discord. But you can make a statue out of pretty much anything. You just grab a miniature that you don't care about and we make it into a statue. Or you can go and buy a statue piece and we can paint that up. So I'll figure out if there's a statue I want to do. And if there is, I will post it into Discord. If not, I may just say, let's take an old miniature and make a statue out of it. But that's him. There is Grimkel for right now. I'm always interested in seeing all of your stuff. So anytime that you want to post your paint-alongs in and show me what you've done, that's fantastic. I'm more than happy to look at those. Because this isn't just for me. I'm trying to do this for you guys so that you can use the skills I use the techniques I use, and maybe use the paints that I use and see what you like the best. So, let's get rid of this. So, again, we'll see you guys next Thursday if you're still around painting this little gentleman. I'm going to try to finish him off on the 27th, and then we'll see what we do for May. I may take the first week of May off from the paint-alongs because I'm gone the following 2 Thursdays in May, and then we'll revisit at the end of May and see if there's something we want to do. So next week will be the last week for Grimkel. We'll take a week off from the paint-alongs. I'll be streaming. I just won't be painting. There won't be a paint-along, so it's whatever I have in my repertoire. Maybe get rid of some of the film case brigade. But let me move out here and take my eyes off so I can see everybody better. Oh, there you all are. How you doing? Oh, and I just noticed that I have Warduke up there instead of Grimkel. Whoops. Oh well. Well, I'll leave him up there for next Tuesday. So we will be back on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Painting up some of the Warduke guy, the Warduke chibi, trying to get him to a better state than he is at. Still trying to figure out if I want to do a base on him or if I want to wait and what I mean is glue him to the base, the slot of base, or if I want to do a scene with him. So we're just going to paint up the chibi and then wait for the base to come down the road. So that's Tuesday. Then next Thursday, obviously we're finishing off Grimkel. And then we'll go from there the following week. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't followed the people that I put in here, please go do follow them, see what they're all about. They're I get inspiration for pretty much everybody that I lurk and raid. I didn't get this way just because of my intelligence. No, I rely on everybody else's intelligence to get me to where I'm at. So go follow people and you'll find some exciting artists out there. Hey, Feisty Crabman and Flying Ryan, thank you so much for those raids. I appreciate it. Any pair of eyes that are watching me makes this hobby so much nicer. I can learn from everybody. So if you have any tips, don't be afraid to use them or share them. The Goof Goob and Jackal's Howl, thank you so much for the follow. You guys are two new people that I will have to go look into and find you on Instagram. But thank you so much for dropping in tonight. And thank you everybody else that were lurking and painting along and doing all the other good painting stuff. I'm trying to stall because I don't have Discord or oh, there it is right here. I don't know who's streaming. Let's go find out who's streaming. So I'm just stalling and rambling, but I really do want to say thank you to everybody that's here because you guys make this worthwhile. You keep me painting. That's the thing. I would just be home doing nothing and not painting. That's why I have a film case brigade. Maybe I should just do an army of film case people. Let's see. Creating a universe, galaxy. We're gonna go see Rottweiler. Oh wait, Rainer. Oh, I haven't seen Rainer 72 in a long time. Folks, we're gonna go say hi to Rainer 72. So let's go find him really quick. I didn't know he was doing anything. He's probably ending anyway. Yeah, let me go find out if he's actually on. Let's see. Oh, he's on 19 minutes. Yeah, we'll go follow him. He's an awesome dude. Hey, by the way, I haven't said this before, so this is another good stall tactic while I pull him up. And Reiner 72, he actually contributed to the Paint and Pass over at Adepticon. And if you don't know, I don't have the link, so you have to go see YGM monologuing, or if you know the Battle for Kathy link, that raffle is up. And 50 incredible artists all pitched in. Many well-known people pitched in on that piece. And even if you don't buy a ticket for the raffle, just go look at the piece. It's amazing. You're getting 50 people, including Rainer 72, 50 people doing the best work that they know on one miniature. And if you want to see an awesome piece, go to the Battle for Kathy, and it's somewhere out there. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but there is a Battle for Kathy link that YGM monologuing has, or go to his Instagram. It might be there as well. But go check that piece out. You're not going to be disappointed. And if you do want it, you can win it in a raffle. So you can buy some tickets for that. So fantastic. So we're gonna go see Rainer 72. I haven't seen him in a while. He probably doesn't even remember me. However, he is one of those people that painted on that piece. So have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Shower time, right on, Tibiston. We're definitely having a bit of a round robin tonight. I was just painting and fucking around on two other models. Let's see if we can finish one up.